I would look forward spending time, if I was elected to the seat of New England, to look at how do we improve the revenue we can generate in New England. How do we better market ourselves? How do we attract more industry here? How do we create more jobs? How do we attract more investment? How do we better sell our agricultural exports? We need people in there that actually know how to deliver a result. We need people with real life experience. We need people that actually know the issues. How do we lower our costs through technology? There's a lot of things that can be done. We need to address the key challenges and then go to work on the solution. Nothing changes if nothing changes, but most people are fed up with the lack of change. And I guess we have to have enough pain, enough challenges before we go, enough is enough. We hit a threshold and say we're going to move in a different direction. And I'm quite excited about what is possible when you can unite a country, unite a region, people working together to make the country what it can be. And that's why I'm excited, that's why I'm willing to put my time, money and energy into the New England electorate and into this country. We need to act now, because if we don't, the question should be thinking, who is? Who is in this country? What other top level entrepreneurs in this country are going to sacrifice and dedicate the time to make a positive difference? Most of them won't, because the challenges are faced with that.
Let me tell you one thing about Jamie McIntyre. What you see is what you get. Not only does he work in the business sector, he also works with youth around Australia. He is the architect, he is the founder, he is the originator. This man is the real deal.
So the first rule in business is you must add value to society in some way. Old school is just make a profit, who cares if it adds value. New school is predominantly social mission. What is your social mission? You see where this all starts? You should be going out in the world saying, how can I change the world and make it a better place?
We have 21st Century Australia Party founder Jamie McIntyre. Jamie, how did the launch go tonight?
Went really well. I'm very excited about it. I mean, we only announced beginning of April that we would launch 21st Century Australia as a party around the country, and my candidacy for the seat of New England against Tony Windsor. But the momentum's building, and talking to people tonight, especially the youth of this country, people that normally wouldn't be excited about politics are now generally really excited. And I think if this is any measure to go by, I think the major political parties are in for a real shake-up.
You not only launched the political party tonight, but also the magazine. What is the premise of the magazine? What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, I think, obviously, part of what I've been involved in is a range of companies and media is something. We publish a lot of magazines in our media division. But what I've found in this country, there's not a really good political magazine. I think Australians are interested in politics if it's straight talking, common sense stuff. So 21st Century Australia Political Magazine is really to create the national debate in this country, because there's not enough debate about common sense policies. There's too much political bickering, the political circus in Canberra. We need to change that, and a magazine that'll be out of newsagents can reach more people with common sense strategic policies will help this country move in the direction it needs to move.
How many seats are you hoping to field in the House of Representatives?
Yeah, it's a common question. Obviously, a lot of startup parties like to make big claims and they're going to field candidates in every seat. But there's a difference between Australia, and a lot of the media don't realise this yet, nor do the major parties. We're starting with a supporter base of 600,000 people. That over the last 15 years, 21st century education has impacted. That's a big starting point. So we have national support right around this country. So if one party was going to ever pull off fielding 150 candidates Australia-wide, we could do it. Obviously, we're going to go after the majority of seats. I think in regional Australia, we have a very strong chance of winning a lot of seats. I think in Senate seats, particularly in Queensland and Victoria, I think we can do very well. And I think, we can actually do quite well because we relate to regional Australia, we relate to city Australia, we relate to workers, we relate to small business, and we have a broad spectrum of 25 policies. So I think we should not underestimate the mood of the electorate that wants to see change, and I want to see change before September. I remember I was invited to meet Tony Blair, the former UK Prime Minister, about 18 months ago for a private dinner. And what he said, one thing that I remember him saying was that politicians aren't necessarily the best decision makers in this country, and which is fairly true. We only have to look at our current government to know that the only decisions they make is decisions that tend to destroy our economy, etc. But they're very good at campaign. The politicians' skill set is being good at campaigning. But we really need to change that. We need quality politicians. We need people, what we're looking for is people that have produced results in the real world. People that are in the real world, whether they're business owners or working in a career, know what it's like to have to employ people, earn a dollar. We don't want more career politicians. So we're not looking for career politicians. We're looking for real people that are passionate about this country and the future of this country and want to make a difference for the right reasons. They want to go into politics because they care, not because their own self-interest.
Absolutely. You are going for one of arguably the most controversial seats in this election. How confident are you that you could win the seat of New England?
Well, a lot of people are saying, are you serious? And, I think it's gone well beyond, are we serious? We wouldn't have released a 25-point policy document if we weren't serious. We wouldn't be running red carpet functions around the country and pouring a lot of money into a new party if we weren't serious. Am I serious about the seat of New England? It's where I spent most of my life. It's the seat that I'm most passionate about. Can we win? After being there last week and campaigning, I've had people come up to me in the streets, people that haven't previously known me, saying, I'm voting for you. I believe we have a very good chance of winning the seat of New England because New England voters were betrayed at the last election by Tony Windsor, and they're not going to be betrayed again. And I can assure voters that I won't betray them like he did. And I'm not a career politician either, so what can I deliver for New England? Something that hasn't been delivered by these career politicians in the last few decades. New England used to have good representation, and it's now time it's got people that have produced results in real life, have invested personally in the New England region. I own many farms up there, my family's still there, so I know what it's like to deal with regional issues because I'm affected by them. But also know what it's like to be in the city and build businesses Australia-wide and around the world. So I have my hands on the pulse and I understand these things. So I think we can do a lot for the seat of New England. We can innovate the economy more, we can attract more industry, and we can go and help regional Australia, not just in New England, be made more important in this country and not neglected like this current government has neglected. The choice was, to consider the Senate. We will field Senate candidates in this country. But I think the action is where the lower house is, and New England is, always have been a very popular seat as far as media attention. And with Tony Windsor up against Barnaby Joyce and now myself contesting, it's going to be a very hotly contested seat, and I think that's good for voters to have a choice. But yes, we intend getting candidates up in the Senate as well. Obviously, that's where minority parties have more influence. But I wouldn't underestimate the power of a minority party. In the 2010 election, it was only two independents that controlled who was elected, Tony Windsor and Oakeshott. If we were around there and had 2 or 3 candidates, we would have controlled the balance of power. So I think minority parties can play a decent influence on this country, on the policy debate, and I'm looking forward to stirring up the 2 major political parties who many voters see as arrogant and out of touch. I mean, we have Julia Gillard, who majority Australians can't stand, far left, and we have Tony Abbott, far right, who's not overly impressive. So most Australian voters are going, who are we going to vote for? We are going to give them at least a choice to say there's a third party, legitimate force in this country, and they deserve our vote. Yeah, it's funny how the media asks these sort of questions. I think it's a little bit premature at this point when we're heading up a minority party. But I was saying the other day, perhaps I don't have the characteristics to be a Prime Minister. For instance, I'm not prepared to jump into bed with the corrupt unions. I'm not prepared to have secret slush funds used to buy myself a house or renovate my house. I'm not prepared to lie to the electorate, the very people that would vote you to power. I'm not prepared to stab an elected Prime Minister in the back and you become a Prime Minister without being elected by the people. And I'm not prepared to run up $250 billion in debt and counting and ruin the country economically. I'm not prepared to do any of those things, but perhaps I don't have the characteristics to be a current Prime Minister.
First thing you'd change?
First thing we need to change is the political system. There's no point just being another politician, another political party. We need to take this outdated 19th century political system and move it into the 21st century. That's what we need to do, and that's going to enable voters, for instance, to be able to vote direct on major policy. Voters who can do that will feel empowered, and you won't need compulsory voting to force people to vote. Compulsory voting is admission of failure, that the political system is not working, that you have to force people to vote in a democratic society.